Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk about life. Our guests will share their life story. We want you to success in life and business. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk about life. We're going to speak on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are going to witness. Business with a servant's heart. With hosts Steve, Ramona, and Ray. Inspiration, education talks. Listen to the podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. I'm so thrilled to have you join us today. This podcast is dedicated to exploring the idea of doing business and living life with a purpose, serving others, and yes, achieving success. We believe when we approach our work and our lives with a servant's heart, we can truly make a difference. We created this show for you because we want everyone to be motivated, inspired, and educated to make an impact in your world. Not somebody else's, but just your world today. Hey, whether you're an entrepreneur, making millions of dollars a year, a community leader, or simply someone looking to bring more purpose in your daily life, this podcast is here to support you. And my show today is a nonprofit show, but this lady is doing incredible things with nonprofits. So I'm excited for you guys to hear about it. But while you're listening to her today, I want you to think about how you will serve today and what impact will you create today. And that's today, not tomorrow. And today's episode is proudly sponsored by our phenomenal partner, Pantheon Alliance. Imagine being a partner in an exclusive community of high-income, successful business owners and entrepreneurs from diverse industries. Together, we build a powerful referral marketplace and build events and webinars and be able to be thought leaders and experts to change the world. If you're looking for more information, please reach out to me and I'll get you that information. With that being said, I talk about impact today, even impact you left yesterday. My guest has done that. There's a ton of marketing agencies out there, but she talks about marketing therapy because marketing's a lot about mindset, which a lot of people don't talk about. Sami, welcome to the show.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
The marketing therapy, where'd that come from? I know it's part of your podcast. We'll talk about it in a minute, but I like that. Where'd that come about?
I mean, it was just something that kind of organically came about because when I was talking to clients and potential customers, I quickly realized, like you just said, it's a mindset shift to jump into, especially the digital marketing space that a lot of, not even just nonprofits, just small businesses struggle with. And so it's just a term that I used. And then I was like, oh, well, maybe I should name my podcast that. Clearly somebody's already taken it and it wasn't taken. So I was like, I'm all in. It's mine.
Jumping in. Yeah, I love it. I love that. And you said a cool thing about digital. For the audience out there, what's the difference between digital and brick and mortar? I call it brick and mortar, but in-person marketing. Is there a difference and what is it?
Right. I mean, I think there is a difference, except that they should both work to serve each other. So what you're doing online is kind of maybe more brand awareness. There is some direct conversions that are happening, but if what you're doing online doesn't also serve the one-on-one relationships that you're building and the networking and the conversations that you're having, if they don't support each other, then there's no point in doing either. They should work in tandem.
Great answer. I asked that very few times. That was one of the best answers I've heard because there's a difference.
Thanks.
I can't just hire a digital marketing and go, hey, I've got a restaurant. I mean, you could do digital marketing for the restaurant part of it, but when it comes to brick and mortar signage and all that, it's a different animal. Be careful with that. Well, mindset with nonprofits. I work with nonprofits like you do. How's the marketing space with that so different than the for-profit?
I mean, I don't think it is different. I think that's where the mindset piece becomes the trigger. So, yes, as a nonprofit, your business model might be a little bit different. Your tax status is definitely different, but you're still in the business of acquiring new customers, aka donors, retaining those customers, donors, and brand awareness about the problem you solve, right? So I always approach, because we work with nonprofits and for-profits, but mostly nonprofit organizations. And my whole thing is we should approach everything with what's the problem you solve? how do you solve that problem? And why are you the one who is uniquely capable to do that for your audience? And I don't think that's different if you're selling shoes or if you're, cleaning up the rivers. The approach and the messaging might be a little bit different because you're talking to a different audience, but you're still kind of going through the same marketing process.
Yeah. Nonprofits are people's passions. I love them about them, but it's also the evil side of it, meaning I'm going to start a nonprofit. I know nothing about business. I work 8 to 5 at Apple, but I want to save the whales. And I'm ready to do
Right.
a foundation for that. Where do you come in?
Well, what's interesting is like you run a successful business and then you start a nonprofit because it's your passion. And it's like you forget about all the other things that you knew that were going to start the successful business, right? Like you forget about the fact that you still need to network, you still need to build relationships, you still need to sell stories and engage with people in a way that they want to connect with you. So I think to get started, it's really just about honing in on, okay, I want to save the whales. Is there a specific whale that I'm wanting to save? Is there a specific ocean that makes sense for me to participate in? Is there a specific reason why the whales are we need saving? Because there's 100 million ways to solve a problem. So what am I doing that's unique instead of trying to do everything? I think that's where people really get stuck because they look at this big picture. But we as humans, if I hear, okay, there's 100 million kids that need food or go without food every day, like that's too much for me to process. But if I hear, okay, your $10 gift can feed 20 kids in your community today, like that's very different. So we lose that kind of, how can we really make an impact, let people know we're making an impact and be specific about the impact we're making versus like tackling this huge save the whales kind of campaign.
And that's what I love about you and good marketing agencies, that perspective, the third party. You're not passionately involved. You and your team can look at from the big picture and go, hey, Steve, like you just said, what whales? It's like, oh, great question. And then you have that dialogue that starts building the marketing, right?
Well, it's analysis paralysis, right? Like, how
Yeah.
can we help people make a decision?
Yeah. What's the one thing nonprofits or a tip that you could give them for their marketing to get them started?
Value, add value. It's not about you, it's about them. I think because we're so passionate about the work that we're doing, we think people are just naturally going to be passionate about it as well. And that's just not the case. We need to bring people along with us and make them the heroes of our story, not make us the heroes of the story. And so the more we can add value to the person we're trying to get to support us, the easier it's going to be.
Like for-profits during COVID, lost a lot of them. We lost a lot of nonprofits. What's one of the big failures you saw over this last 3 or 4 years?
Yeah, donor retention and donor stewardship. I mean, in any business, it's more expensive to get a new customer or a new donor than it is to retain one you already have. And nonprofits are terrible across the board. And if we just paid more attention to especially our smaller donors, right? Like those donors that give to you $20 on Giving Tuesday because they want to give a bunch of organizations money, but we never follow up with them until next year on Giving Tuesday, right? Or the people that we don't think, I mean, this is just right up your wheelhouse, right, Steve? Like the people we don't think have the capacity or the network to give, but so we don't have a conversation with them because they only gave $20. We don't know. So I think it's that mindset of, well, we only want to focus on the bigger donors and we want to go out and get new big donors or new big grants versus just having a plan to nurture everybody that comes to our network, regardless of their initial gift, because we don't truly know their capacity to give or the capacity of their network to give.
You definitely know me because we know each other pretty great. And that's what I love about you is we don't know the shoes people live in. Somebody could be selling Amway for 50,000 a year part-time and that's their only job, but they may know the vice president of Google. It's happened more than once and then probably seen that too. We just don't know people's networks. So bringing the value, building that relationship, don't try to sell, transformational, not transactional, and things are good. You've got a great tagline on your website. I stalked you a little bit and probably knew I would. Is serving the client, not the contract. Where'd that come about? And explain that a little deeper. I know what it means, but to the audience, a little deeper what that means.
So the bulk of what we do is website development. And if you're a business owner, you've worked with a crappy web developer, like unfortunately, that is the name of the game. And we just very much felt like there was a space where um, you don't know what you don't know. And we do what we do really well, and you do what you do really well. And so if we come at you with jargon and we come at you with all this terminology and we come at you with like random things in the contract, you don't know what you're getting. You don't know what to expect. You don't feel like you're a part of the relationship. And so instead, it's important for us when we work with people that there's several times where people have been like, well, we don't, because we build in WordPress. We don't want a WordPress website. We want a Squarespace website. Great. Send me the contract. I want to make sure that you're getting what you think you want. So we definitely want to make sure that people that come to us don't come back to, if they don't work with us, that's great. We're not the right fit for everybody, but we want to make sure that they don't come back to us and say, we got screwed by this guy. We didn't know what we were doing. So now we're back to you. We want to try to help people really make sure they're getting what they need. If it's us, that's great. If it's not, totally fine. There's plenty of business out there for all of us. And so it's just important that, we help educate people that come to us on what types of things are in those contracts, what they want to look out for, and what that means for them in their business.
Yeah, I like it. So it's serving the client, not the contract, but serve the contract if you're not working with them. I'm adding to it, but you wouldn't want to make that as your tagline. But I love that. That's what a servant heart does in business is, yeah, I'm going to look at your contract and look at this, this, this. You're not going to charge them. You're just give your IP away like crazy. Give away free to thousands of people. Half those people come back, you get 500 people as clients because they will. And you know that we've talked about that many times. Let's jump into the podcast Digital Marketing Therapy. What's it about? What's your mission?
Yeah, so really it's about breaking down digital marketing into kind of bite-sized chunks. And so we theme every month so that you can really deep dive into a particular topic, whether it be content creation or your website or organization. And it's a combination of interviews. Steve, you were on my podcast. So a combination of interviews with guest experts who can just bring things to the table that we're not experts in, and not interviews, but solo episodes that are a little bit shorter from me that, deep dive, but all of them have actionable steps that you can take immediately to kind of jumpstart that topic and kind of keep you moving so that you can keep your digital growth going. We try not to be too overwhelming, so it's definitely for your kind of beginners and newbies and people that are wanting to kind of start to up level. So it's not full of tech jargon and super advanced strategies that you're just going to listen to and go, oh my gosh, I can't do this. But really just helping those small businesses be able to take action and do things, even if you have a small budget or a small team. That's what we love to educate people on.
I like simple and easy because I've just watched a couple of videos this week about learning something. I didn't get it at all. I had to go back to the owner of the video. I mean, it's like that. And I love that. And again, that's what I told you, audience, give away your IP. She just did that. These are skills and techniques and tips that they use for their clients, giving to you. She's not worried about you. If it works and blows your business up and you go 10 times your income, she's going to be standing there clapping for you. That's why I love her. It's what a servant's heart does. Because as you said earlier, we don't need everybody. We get the right client, we're good. Go ahead.
For sure. And we choose to stay small. We're a very small team. And so that means we can take less clients. So the podcast is really an opportunity for us to help those that A, can't afford us, and B, that we might not have capacity to serve on a one-on-one basis. So it's just something we love doing. And I get to meet amazing people. Like I would not be on this podcast with you if we had not been introduced by somebody else that we had been on joint podcasts. I mean, again, bringing back to the whole networking thing, but it's allowed me to meet and connect and also support a lot of other people's businesses, which is one of the things that I love because we can continue to network and share resources with clients that need work that we don't do.
You're in my head. I love it because I was just going to ask you about the power of podcasting, but let's delve into that. What have you seen?
Yeah.
Because how many shows have you done? You've done 100? No, a lot more than that.
No. I mean, I've probably only done, because like maybe 15. I haven't put a huge effort behind it, but yeah.
What do you see the power of podcasting?
I mean, a lot of things. Like number one, it's for my podcast, it's way easier. I don't have to prep as hard. I don't have to work as hard to get an episode out, right? I'm very thoughtful about the topics that I'm sharing and the people that come on, but it's so much easier to just interview somebody and get great content than it is to have to like script out and write and create my own whole thing, right? So that's the selfish side of interviewing people on podcasts. Guesting on other people, I mean, it's great conversation. I often get to talk about things that I don't talk about on my podcast that are in my area of expertise. And then it's just meeting people and connecting with people that are in the space, nonprofit or otherwise, and hearing their passions, and then kind of learning from them. And because I also learn from people that are on my podcast. If I have people that are doing things that are not in my strong suit, like I had somebody coming on to talk about YouTube videos, which is not where I excel, and I learned some stuff and I've put that into action in my business, and now we're, like seeing some results there. So it's just like one of those things where you never know what's going to happen from a conversation, and podcasting is so easy. I say that, especially as a guest. So like I didn't come here super prepped with a ton of questions or things to say. You're asking me questions that are in my area of expertise, and I'm just speaking from the heart. And I love that about it. Like you can just be real and authentic and start to build trust with people.
And, this is my 450, 48 show. I've done tons of them because it's part of my business, but you're absolutely right. And I forget all the time the content. I got interviewed yesterday by a big magazine. I forgot to mention that, but you're right. So if a client, you have a nonprofit, they're on 10 shows this month, there's 10 pieces of content you can break out and do marketing with, right? So somebody has an agency, hey, jump on guesting podcast, just even for just the content, and maybe it's much more.
Yep.
What a great idea.
Yeah. The repurposing behind podcasts is incredible on all sides, whether you're a guest or you have your own.
Yeah. If you had your druthers, would you be a guest or a host?
Oh,
You only own one.
Well, that's hard because I technically have two podcasts.
That's true.
One I'm bringing back in September, August or September. I haven't decided yet. You can't ask me that question. It's different work. I like hosting because I can control the content, and we have a good system in place. I mean, because of our skill set and our company's skill set, it's easy for us to edit, push out, and promote, right? And so I love that part of it. It's harder on like the booking side. Like that takes more time and effort just to make sure you have things booked out right where you want them. The guesting showing up is easier, but it's more work on the front end, reaching out to people in an authentic way to get on podcasts. So I don't know, Steve. That's a tough question.
And I'd answer the exact same way as they're both good.
Yeah,
there's
both
no
fantastic.
better one than the other. I mean, I'm thinking starting another podcast like you are, just for a different niche and realm. But yeah, they're both good. If you're not good, if you're not good on camera, neither one's going to work. But don't be afraid. If you have passion about what you do, jump on a podcast. I mean, listen to her passion. You can see it. It's her blood is coming out. No, it's not really, but she's passionate about helping nonprofits with marketing. And then it's easy. You've had no problem. And by the way, what you said about being conversational, it's the way it needs to be.
Yeah. I agree. People want realness.
Right. I say all the time, Yellowstone, one of the top shows out there, whether you watch it or not, but it's a TV show. The new Wolverine, Deadpool coming out, which I'm excited to see. That's a movie. That's all scripted. They do it 1, 2, 3, 100 times. This is not that. This is who's Steve, who's Sammy, what are they about? Is it value for me? Great. If it's not value, I move on. And there's nothing wrong with that. Right? That's 100%. It's a cool thing. We don't need 300 million people in America to love us. If a million did, me and Sam would be in the Bahamas right now. I'm half kidding.
No, but I love that you said that, because I think a lot of times we get stuck in these. So speaking of marketing, like we get stuck in these vanity metrics, and it's not about those numbers. It's about who's showing up in your audience that is going to buy, donate, participate in your organization. If you only need 5 new clients and your podcast is reaching 100 people every episode, great. Like that's okay. Like you're, it doesn't need to reach 5,000 people, but so it depends on your goals and where you're headed and what you're looking for and what your audience base is. And I think we get in our heads about that to, we want to have that viral thing and we want to have millions of people, and that's where our value is. And I think that that's a dangerous game to play.
No, you nailed it. I have 9,800 something subscribers on YouTube. Oh, wow. And I tell them I can care less. And they're like, and I love my subscribers. I love you guys that are subscribing and getting great content, but I'm not losing sleep because I went from 9,840 to 9,841 yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I went to 42 today. It's beautiful. It's great. The downloads, I get 10 to 30.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. Somebody's watching it. It's all about the guest. That's a tip that I'd love to leave. When you're podcasting, make it all about the guest. Things will happen eventually, because I'm changing my universe right now, putting you on my platform, on my stage to promote you. The universe changes. I get so passionate about this because it's changed for me. Well, let's have some fun. You want to have some fun?
Okay. We've been having fun already.
Well, this is about Sammy now. We're going to dive deep into Sammy. I love people to know you a little deeper. Yeah. This is a fun one.
Okay.
So you're coming to a restaurant. You've got a table of 4. You occupy one of the seats. You have 3 open seats. Who, dead or alive, would you invite to sit in those seats? Why? And what food would you order?
Okay, well, the food is easy.
Okay.
Because so I'm half Taiwanese, Chinese, Taiwanese. So anything that's like traditional Taiwanese food, I'm here for it, because you can't get that in the States. I'm sorry. You just can't. So that's easy. Like a big old, Lazy Susan full of all of my favorite Chinese plates. That's what I'm eating. Who do I want? Okay. See, I hate these kinds of questions, and I always think about them, and I can never come up with some good answers. But the first one that comes to mind might be really shocking, but I play the piano, and my favorite composer is Chopin. So I would love to just hear his I don't know, what it was like creating music back then, and I just think there could be some really cool stories there. Other than that, I don't.
Off the top of your head.
Actually, this might be okay. This could be weird, but I would love it if my grandma and grandpa could be there, if they could speak English, because they are Chinese, and my only interaction with them has been through a translator, and they have some incredible stories because my grandpa was in the Chinese army and fled to Taiwan under, all of that stuff. So there's so many cool things there that I've never really gotten to learn. And maybe, I don't know, can they count as the other 2?
They absolutely. And here we'll have a 5th seat, because this is your table for an interpreter. So we bring an interpreter in.
Thank you.
We'll do that. But I love that, because I didn't know you played piano. That's why I love asking this question. Mm-hmm. That's very cool. It sounds like a top piano player. Lots of envy, because I can't play a lick of music. When I tried to play a trombone, I was music deaf, whatever they call that. Yeah, whatever that.
Tone deaf.
Tone deaf. Thank you. I knew. See, I don't even know what it is. I have something I don't even know what it is. But that's really cool and awesome. How can people support you and reach out to you, Sammy?
Well, I absolutely check out the Digital Marketing Therapy podcast, but you can see all of the episodes at thefirstclick.net/podcast. I'm a weirdo. I have 2 different businesses, so I know you're seeing H&E Marketing Solutions scroll along the bottom, but we have, anyway, The First Click or H&E Marketing Solutions. You can find us anywhere, but definitely just check out YouTube at The First Click Marketing. That's where the podcast is, and you can watch all the video versions of our episodes just like this. That's the best place to kind of get free access to resources and learn how you can connect with us.
Perfect. Last word. What do you want to leave the audience about marketing?
It's okay to fail. That's what I would say. That's
so perfect in marketing and everything, but definitely in marketing, because you're A/B testing things all the time.
Right. So we typically say test, 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 but I feel like that scares people. And so I like to say it's okay to fail, which is just testing things and seeing what works.
Well, what is really scary is when they go, because I had this happen to a friend, spend 50,000 here and 50,000 here. Let's test A and B. He's like, I have 100,000. Well, we need to do that. It's like, get out of there. Don't work with that agency, or they're different.
No, you don't have to do that.
That's not your fit. No,
you don't have to do that. Yeah.
Good. I'm glad you said that. Well, everybody, thank you so much, Sammy, for being on. You're such a blessing to marketing. I really appreciate you.
Well, thank you. I love what I do, and I love just being there as a sounding board for people. So always happy to just answer questions and do what I can.
And all this information will be in the show notes. Reach out on LinkedIn, or once it's on my podcast in a few months, leave comments and I'll get them to her. She'll make sure she sees them. Reach out to her website.
Yeah, absolutely.
She'll talk to you, 15 minutes, 20 minutes if you have a question, or send a message, email, whatever, or whatever it may be, and get educated, get better. That's all we're talking about. And don't forget my TV show, Together We Serve, every Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. As I always say, I hate time zones. I screw them up all the time. And me and Sammy want to thank you so much for listening and watching to this wonderful podcast. And we'll see you on the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, all.